first tutorial on SketchUp 2017. So you want to click on SketchUp 2017, and what we're going to be doing is we are going to be creating our little jig in three-dimensional work. So I want to find my template. I clicked on template, and then I'm clicking on woodworking inches. So once I click on that and it's highlighted, I can start using SketchUp. Now, once I've got that going, I can start building my project. So I'm going to take and the green and the red lines are really where you want to start building your project. This is like the flat area that you're working with. So I'm going to choose a rectangle up here. If you don't see a rectangle, if you see a circle, click on the drop down arrow and you have 4 pre-made shapes to choose from. And we're going to need the rectangle for today. And I'm going to attach it right here to the origin. Okay, and if you click on it, right, it says origin. I'm going to click my right click, and I'm not holding it. I just clicked it once, and then I pulled, and I create my rectangle, and I don't do anything. Don't click again. Just leave it hanging, and you're going to type in the dimensions that you want of your rectangle, which is 12 inches, comma, by 5.5. That's 5.5. That's how big your jig's going to be, and you're going to see this little box just shrink all the way down because that's actual size. So I'm going to click on this magnifying glass that has 3 arrows up at the top. That's going to zoom me in. Now if your project is gray, that's good. That means you're attached to the bottom. So for 3D printing, we want our project to be gray. We know that if we start that way, it's going to be a good project. So we need to find some things out. One thing, we need to make this project thicker than it is. Right now it's 0. It's not thick at all. So we need to click on this push-pull tool. It's a square with an arrow. I click on it, I pull up, I'm holding my click, I let go, I type in 0.75, and that makes my project 3/4 of an inch, 0.75 of an inch. Now I'm going to click on this orbiting tool. It's a red arrow and a green arrow going around a pole, and I'm going to rotate it so I can see better. And then I'm going to use the scrolling button on my mouse, and I'm going to actually zoom out. So hopefully you can see what I see. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my measurement tool and I'm going to lay out some measurement lines so I know where to build my little blocks that are going to hold my clip for building my bracelets. So you'll notice that if I go right to the middle, it says midpoint. Okay, that's important. That's going to be the middle that we need to find. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the edge and I'm going to pull it out until it hits the midpoint, which is 2 3/4 of an inch. And when it does, I'm going to hit enter. So I just found the center. Whoops. Let's try that again. Okay, I clicked on it and it worked. That's the center of our project. Okay, it's great. But we need to build an entire box here. So I want to do all the measurements. That way it's really easy for me to build my box. So this box, I'm asking you to make like another little piece of wood here that's 3 inches by 2.5 inches. So we want to go, if this is halfway of 3, then I want to go this way 1.5. That's half of 3. And then I want to go the other way 1.5. So that's a total of 3 inches, and I just went halfway this way and halfway the other way. Now the other thing I need to do is grab this edge and pull up with the tape measure and say 2.5. So now I have a box that I just made. Now it's not 3D yet, but I made a box that is 3 inches wide and it's 2.5 inches tall right there. So I'm going to take my rectangle and I'm just going to fill it in. Click on the X, drag it out, and now I have my box. Then I'm going to go back to that push-pull tool, and I'm going to raise it up, 0.75, and now I've got my project going. Now over here, I'm almost ready. I've got to go back to the tape measure. You notice my other lines, they stayed. So I already have my 3-inch lines. All I need is my 2.5, so I drag it down, 2.5, whoa, enter. And then I go back to my rectangle tool, click on it, drag it over to the edge, click on it, go back to my push-pull tool, come on up to 0.75, and here I have my project. And I have all my measurements ready to go. Okay, it's looking good. So I'm going to rotate it, just double check that all the edges are good, and looks like I've really nailed it here. So the last thing I want to do is I want to create where I'm going to put my screws and where I'm going to put my clip. So I'm going to take the measurement tool again, and I'm going to find, like here's a midpoint, here's a midpoint right here. So I want to find the midpoint of this, because we always want our screws to kind of be in the center. And then I said that this is 1.5, so if we wanted to put a screw in, starting here, if I drag it over, half of 1.5 is 0.75, 0.75. And then I do the same thing over here, 0.75. So that's the dead center of where I want to put my screws. So now I just need to make circles. So I go up here and I change away from the square, and I grab the circle and I put it here. And I like the size that it is right now too, so I'm just going to click. And you probably want it to be, let's see, that's 1/4. 1/4 is 0.25. So if I type in 0.25, whoops, 0.25, there's my circle, and I can do the same thing over here, 0.25. And you see how even though it was big, it shrunk back down, you know, it's super easy. And then I've got to do the thing on the top. So I'm going to go back to my lens up here with the arrows, and you notice I have everything except for that one line, my midpoint line. So let's see here. Here's my midpoint. Okay, so I'm going to drag it to my midpoint, and then I'm going to go back and grab my circles. And I told you it was 0.25. And 0.25. Now, did you guys see that those turned into different colors? That's usually a sign of a problem. Do you see what happened here? Okay, something didn't turn out right. So it looks like I did not pull this up to the right height. This .75 should have been 0.75. Still floating there. And over here, what's going on here? So we got to just kind of figure this out. That said it was 0.75. Whoa. Alright, so we got something a little funky here. Something's not quite jiving. I'm going to have to zoom in. And bring it down to the surface. You can see I'm still not down to the surface, so I'm just using the push-pull tool. I'm trying to get it perfect. Okay, that looks good to me. Now I got to figure out why is it not coming up 0.75? Still not. Something's still not right. Okay. If you screw up, just press Control Z and it'll come back. I'm going to get rid of these guys. If you click on the outside line until it's blue, it'll disappear. I've got to figure out why that's not coming all the way up. I'm going to try it again. 0.75. Alright, so there's got to be some issue with this. Let me see here. I'm going to get rid of this measurement line here because it's throwing me off a little bit. And I'm going to pull this up. Alright, so I just pulled it up to meet that. I kind of forced it to fit, and hopefully that'll work. And then I'm going to take my measurement tool again, and now I'm going to come down. Like I said, it was half of 2.5, which is 1.75. And nope, that was not the measurement. Should be delete. It was 1.25. Sorry. Okay, then I do my circles. And again, your circles are 1/4, so 0.25. Now you notice how those didn't turn gray? We got it right, so 0.25. Okay, and that's basically it. So now you're done, and the other cool things that you can do with this is you can change the color of your materials. So that's one thing that you can change. You can make it a unique texture. Okay. You could put a photo in there if you wanted to, which we don't need to do. But we want to find seeing our texture view, but as far as for finishing this up, this is what I'm looking for, and this is a good 3D model. So the last thing I'm going to tell you to do is to put your measurements on your model. So you can take and we need to put some text in here. How that worked out, so I'm going to Control Z it.